What's going on, guys? CTG Matt back. Read the title today. I'm talking about 3 NBA teams that I believe will shock us all next season. Shock might be a little bit exaggerative. Some of these teams aren't really going to shock the world. I have mild expectations for them. It's just 3 teams that I think are going to be better this season than they were last season. Let's go. Don't forget to like, comment if you want, and subscribe. It's not that hard. The first team we're talking about is the Portland Trail Blazers. Last year, the Blazers won 36 games. I'm optimistic for them this season to win between 40 to 43 games. I know it's not a lot. You'd think 4 to 7 wins is that much of an improvement, really? Yeah, in the loaded West last year, the 39-win Mavericks still made the play-in game. So a 42-win team is a comfortable play-in spot. It was a really weird and kind of quiet offseason in Portland, but they made really good moves. They brought back Damian Lillard, who is one of their best players in franchise history. Maybe the best. In my opinion, probably the best, even though he never brought a championship there. It is what it is. They make a trade. They send Anthony Simons to Boston for Jrue Holiday. I really like that addition. Jrue Holiday is a veteran presence in the locker room, as well as just a pretty good role player who can help develop some of these young guys and just play a complementary role as well on the court. And in the draft, they take Yang Hansen, who has impressed and caught some eyes in Summer League when it was going on. He had really good footwork, good touch around the rim. The only thing I'd say Yang needs to be better at is free throw shooting. In China, he was a mid to low 60% free throw shooter. In the NBA, in the playoffs specifically, they'll foul you if you're a low 60% free throw shooter. Look at Mitchell Robinson. I know he's worse than 60, but 60 is still kind of on the fence. Hansen's also a really good shot blocker as well. In China, he averaged 2.5 to close to 3 blocks per game. And in Summer League, he had a good amount of blocks as well. Yang Hansen has very high upside. Not exactly sure how much he's going to play because there is other players at his position that could be blocking him, i.e. Donovan Clingan. I think Robert Williams is still on roster, but I do think that he's going to get moved sooner than later, as well as Duop Reith, who I really am a fan of Duop Reith. Yeah, it's a mixture of his name being really cool and his play, but his play is still very legit. Blazers starting 5, in my opinion, is an absolute mess, though. Not exactly sure who they're going to roll out on opening night. If I had to predict their starting 5 for opening night, I'd say Jrue Holiday, Shaedon Sharpe, Deni Avdija, Toumani Camara, and Donovan Clingan. I like adding Jrue Holiday into the starting guard spot in that lineup simply because both Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson have shown mild passing ability, but neither one has shown the ability to get like a 10-assist game without having 6 turnovers to boot. They're both high turnover guards with low assist numbers. Scoot is definitely a better passer than Shaedon is, for sure. Shaedon is more of a traditional shooting guard. But Scoot Henderson still has struggled. He took a minor step up in year 2 compared to year 1. His shooting percentages went up from the field and 3-point. His free throw percentage went down. However, in terms of assist to turnover ratio, it's similar. It's like 2 turnovers to 5.5 assists. It's not great. It's not really bad either, though. I just like the idea of starting Jrue Holiday because Jrue Holiday has shown the ability to be a good passer before, as well as just playing the right spot. He's a guy who goes to the dunker spot if you need him to. You know, he played that spot in the finals against Dallas 2 years ago in the finals. It was him in the dunker spot and then your best player isolate up top. He can also hit corner threes. I know he didn't do it as well last year in Boston. It was like 30%. I think that was on tired legs. I think Jrue Holiday back in Portland. Maybe he gets moved. I don't know. I just like him as a starter, though, because I don't trust their other 2 guards as lead guard. I like the idea of Toumani Camara starting over Jeremy Grant. I know the contract is crazy on Jeremy Grant, and he probably will start because of the contract number, but I think Toumani Camara at this point is the better player. Camara has all defense upside potential. I think he will make an all-defensive team soon. If he hasn't already, he might have last year. Crazy defensive instincts with stealing the ball, jumps passing lanes well. He has a really good acumen at blocking shots around the rim, but he also takes a ton of charges. That's like his biggest upside, is he is a charge magnet. This would still leave the Blazers bench in a pretty good spot. They would have Scoot Henderson, Chris Murray, Jeremy Grant, Yang Hansen, Robert Williams. I know Rob's probably going to get moved, and him and Hansen Yang would not play together at all, but it does leave 2 bigs and Duop Reith, who's still there. Matisse Thybulle is still on roster as well if you want to play him at the 2 or 3. They have some decent bench players. I like Chris Murray a good amount too. I really like the way that this roster is moving. But the guy is Deni Avdija, in my opinion. He's the guy on this team for next season at least. From March 1st of last year to April 4th of last year, which was the last game of his season, Denny Avdia averaged 25 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists with a steal per game on 51, 43, 82 splits. He really showed he could be that guy last year. They were better down the stretch, and it's simply because they let Denny do his work. He gets downhill well. He upped his three-point rate and hit it at a respectable clip in the mid-30s. I think it was around 35 to 36% last year, which isn't bad at all. He's really good in transition. He can find the open man. He's shown plus playmaking before. It's just last year, too many turnovers in my opinion. But there will be an increase in spacing as well. And there's just more facets to their offense this year than there was last year. They were better down the stretch last year toward the end of the season, and I think that can roll over into next year. Plus, the defensive upside on this team is crazy to me. You're talking about Denny Avdia, who is a really good defender. He's got a long wingspan, and he's bulked up a little bit too since he's joined the league. Chris Murray, who I really do like I said before. Toumani Camara, who has all defensive potential. Matisse Thybulle, who has been an all defensive guy. I know he might not play a ton, but he's on like a $12 million deal. He might get burned. And then Donovan Clingan down low and Yang Hansen, both of which have shown good rim protection. The defensive upside on this team is crazy. It's just, can they string together consistent enough offense? And I think a big key to that could be if Jrue Holiday is productive. If Jrue Holiday is providing spacing for guys like Shaedon and Denny to get open looks or get downhill into the lane, it'll help them a ton. It'll open up their offense a lot. Last year they struggled with shooting because, well, let me be honest, Jeremy Grant was kind of a void last year, as well as them just having too many big men with DeAndre Ayton around and having to play through Ayton in the lane. There was just too much going on last year. I think they'll slim down this roster, trim the fat off, get rid of guys like Rob, maybe even Matisse, and you'll see a much more refined team with some veterans still. I know I mentioned they brought back Dame. He's probably not going to play because of the Achilles. However, having him around with all those young guards too will probably help their development. So shout out to Portland, shout out to Dame, because Dame coming back to Portland was maybe one of the more fun storylines of the offseason. I enjoyed seeing that as my notification. I didn't expect him to go back there. I thought the bridge was burned. I've said it countless times. I thought that bridge for Dame to go back to Portland was absolutely toasted. Instead, he's back and he's rehabbing there, and I hope he can have some type of influence on the locker room and really help those young guys develop. Who knows, maybe he comes back the year after next and he's still impactful and still really good. I like the Portland Trailblazers offseason. I think they can win maybe at most, they're like a 41 to 45 win team. That's about it, but it's still a step up from last year. Next up, I have a team that I think will be a solid playoff team, not a play-in team, a playoff team. I'm talking about the Toronto Raptors. Last year, the Toronto Raptors went 30-52. Not a great record, but they did have a ton of injuries. Scotty Barnes played 65 games. That was their leader. You're talking about 58 games from RJ Barrett, 57 games from Jakob Poeltl, 54 games from Grady Wiener, 33 games from Emmanuel Quickley, and Brandon Ingram got traded there midseason, didn't play a single game. To me, their projected starting five next season is Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl, with a potential bench lineup including Jamal Shead, Grady Wiener, Jacoby Walter, Ochai Agbaji, Colin Murray-Boyles, Jonathan Mobo. I know I named 6 people there, but their bench is pretty deep in my opinion. Deep team with some high-end talent, including Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram. Scotty Barnes is by far the best player on this team. I don't want to misconstrue that. He is the leader of this team. He can pass. He's a really good defender. He's learning how to score now. He has a jump shot down. He gets into the lane really well. He's another guy that's bulked up a lot since he's gotten to the league. They have the talent. On paper, they are a talented team. Question mark is fit and overlapping skill sets. Is there too many to really make it work? Ingram, Scotty, RJ, and Emmanuel Quickley are all kind of ball-dominant players, some of which not with great three-point shooting numbers, i.e. Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett. But for sure, the leader is Scotty Barnes. This team only goes as far as he can take them. He is a special player. I think he could be an all-star, all-NBA type of guy. But there have been some other circumstances that have kind of taken him away from that, i.e. them tanking and him sitting a while last year, i.e. them not putting good rosters around him. You know, I think his ceiling has yet to be seen. Question really begins with, like, will RJ Barrett strive in a lineup where he's not being given the ball? RJ's game is predicated around getting to the basket. He shot around 44 to 45% of his shots at the rim last year, albeit he's an all right rim finisher. He is a pretty good rim finisher, but you're talking about with Jakob Poeltl around and Scotty Barnes And, Emmanuel quickly on the court, is he going to get the ball as much as he did last year? Will Ingram have the same space to work the mid-range game like he has his entire career when you're dealing with R.J. Barrett and Jakob Poeltl on the floor? R.J. Barrett's a big question mark for me because he has had good seasons of three-point shooting and he's had really bad seasons of three-point shooting. I'm not exactly sure where the middle ground is. He's been a good corner three-point shooter specifically in years past. He's also been an atrocious corner three-point shooter in years past. I don't know what to expect out of R.J., but I do just question, can he play off the ball effectively? Will Collin Murray-Boyles really get a chance to play considering there's already game-ready contributors on the roster? I mean, Scottie Barnes is going to play the 4. Brandon Ingram's going to get some 4 minutes. There's guys that they have that play the forward. And Collin Murray-Boyles isn't particular. I don't think he's a center. I don't really think he's a center. But there's also Jakob Poeltl and Jonathan Bobo there already. Collin Murray-Boyles is a good player. If I were to make a draft board of the players I really like from this draft class, Collin Murray-Boyles would probably be in my top 5. Overall, if this team meshes together, I could even see a 49-50 win team out of them if it all meshes together. I like their coach, Darko. I think he's a decent coach. Plus, it doesn't hurt that they're playing in a pretty watered-down and weak Eastern Conference. You're thinking about Boston's going to be taking a step back next year. The Knicks are still going to be there and they'll be good, but the Raptors always seem to give them trouble. The Bucks are a decent team, but are they as good as this Raptors team? They're definitely not as deep as this Raptors team is, in my opinion. Some Vegas books, like the sports books, have the Raptors listed below 40 wins. Like I saw one at 37.5. If the Toronto Raptors are projected at 37.5 wins, they won 30 last year, and they've gotten better, in my opinion, and definitely healthier. I think that's free money. It sounds like free money to me, and I might have to put a bet on that. 37.5 just seems really low for a team with potentially 2 All-Stars. Emmanuel Quickley still does have something to prove as well, at least to me. I don't know about you guys, but he played 33 games last year, missed a lot of time due to injuries. I question his fit as like a starting point guard. He's not a great passer, but he has been better in recent years, giving the ball more. I think he averaged about 5 assists per game last year, which was a career high for Emmanuel Quickley. His role on an NBA floor has always been different, though. You think about his time with the Knicks, it was 6th man of the year, be a bucket type of guy. Comes over to Toronto, now they want him to be a lead guard. He's learning, but at the same time, I'm just really not sure how his fit's going to be with so many ball-dominant players. He can play off the ball because he is a really good shooter, but at the same time, if he's your starting point guard, you're probably going to want the ball in his hands so that way he can play make a little bit. No offense to like RJ and Brandon Ingram. Those guys aren't the most efficient passers out there. Scottie Barnes is a good passer, though. I'll put some respect on him. There's just a lot of players with something to prove, at least to me, on this Toronto Raptors roster. I think it makes them an interesting team to watch next year. I'll certainly be tapped in. If they're hurt and they're done by midseason, of course I'll be out. But I'm excited for Grady. Grady took a big step up last year and showed some actual signs of being a good NBA player. And then on top of that, I'm a big Jakob Poeltl guy, a big man who can dance on the perimeter. He can pass a little bit, too, from the post. He's a good rim finisher. He sucks at free throws. Don't ask him to shoot a damn free throw. He's not going to make it. And then on the defensive side, he's also a damn good rim protector. So either way, I like Jakob Poeltl a lot. I think there's just so much versatility with their team. Even like Jonathan Mobo, Jacoby Walter, and Jamal Shed, I haven't really give their shine to in this portion of the video. But those guys, I think, are good contributors as well. There's just a lot that I like about this Raptors roster. It sounds like it's really either going to be a good, respectable team or bottom out. And I'm not sure, considering they fired Masai Ujiri. Did they not like the trades and the moves he was making? I have no idea, man. Talk to me down below in the comments, Raptors fans. I'm optimistic, but also cautiously optimistic, if you know what I mean. And the last team I'm here to talk about is another Eastern Conference team. They won 18 games last season. It surely cannot get worse. When the elevator has reached the pits of hell, surely there's not another floor on it, right? We're talking about the Washington Wizards. In the offseason, the Washington Wizards added CJ McCollum in a trade that sent Jordan Poole to the Pelicans. I don't mind that move. I'll talk about it more later. They also added Cam Whitmore in a trade with the Rockets. They added Malachi Branham, and they brought in Trey Johnson in the draft. I'm a fan of their offseason. I am a fan of the Jordan Poole for CJ McCollum swap. I know Kelly Olynyk was involved. Who really cares? I'm a fan of that trade. Yes, Jordan Poole had a great year last year, one of the best of his young career. But at times, I feel like he took the ball out of Bub Carrington's hands. He took the ball out of Alex Sarr's hands, Bilal Coulibaly's hands. These are guys that I think are future pieces if the Wizards want to be a good team down the line. Not that CJ McCollum doesn't take the ball out of their hands, but I like the idea of adding a veteran. It's basically Jordan Poole for old Jordan Poole. CJ McCollum is a bag work type of guy as well, who is fun when he's hot and scoring the ball. When he's not scoring the ball, he's kind of pointless on the court. I like CJ McCollum more, though, because he's been around. He's been in the locker room for a while. Pretty smart guy, even though he fucked over the CBA. I don't want to talk about that one, though. We could talk about their guy, in my opinion. It's Alex Sarr. He had a really good rookie season, in my opinion at least. He averaged 13 points, 6.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 1.5 blocks. He had 12 games with 3 or more blocks. He had 10 games of 20 or more points. I see a pretty high ceiling with Alex Sarr. Comp I gave him coming out of the draft, Alex Sarr, was like Evan Mobley, and I think it's still there. I really do think it's still there. He can move on the perimeter, the blocks are there, the rim protection's there, the three-point shooting is coming along quicker than Evan Mobley's did. Mobley's still working on that three-point shot. Sarr was shooting like 30% last year. The defensive impact is really what you come for. I cannot wait to see his defensive impact in 2 to 3 years after he gets shot timing down and everything like that. I think he already is a good defender, like a really good defender. I think in 2 to 3 years we'll see a full, like, he can make an all-defensive team type of thing out of Alex Sarr. Another guy with a high ceiling, in my opinion, is Bub Carrington. He works the mid-range. He's a very good mid-range shooter. He shot 45% in the mid-range last year. That lands him in the 68th percentile of mid-range shooters. It's pretty damn good. He also had 9 games of 8 or more assists. There was also a healthy amount of turnovers in there, don't get me wrong, but he has shown that he can pass the ball. Again, 9 games of 8 or more assists out of a first-year player. It's not bad. Good mid-range shooting. He slithers around screens very well. I remember specifically a game against the Spurs where he hit the old Chris Paul move against Chris Paul, where it slither around the screen, go right, and then fade away at about the free throw line area. And he did that like 2 to 3 times on Chris Paul. It was straight up beautiful. Bub Carrington can elevate as well. He's got some athleticism and a high release point. I really like Bub Carrington. My point guard rankings are coming out soon, and Bub might be a little bit higher than you guys think, but I am projecting a little bit. Bub is also a pretty good rebounder. He had multiple games of 10 or more rebounds, which helps a lot because, I'm going to be honest, Alex Sarr isn't really a strong rebounder. He's not a bad rebounder, but he's still kind of skinny, kind of scrawny for an NBA build. I know that comes along with years in the league and development, but as for right now, Alex Sarr is a little bit on the thinner side, and he's going to need help down low. And having Bub Carrington around, who's got pretty good size for a guard, will definitely help him out a little bit down low. But of course, they also added Trey Johnson. And this might be my favorite add that they did all offseason. Trey Johnson was my guy coming out of the draft. I think he has the highest ceiling of any prospect in the draft not named Cooper Flagg. Johnson has really good athleticism, a really good jumper. Like a lot of the scouting reports, that's like the first thing you read is like his jump shot is there. Of course, jump shooting in college at the collegiate level doesn't always translate. You know, we saw Aaron Nesmith get called the best shooter in college, and he struggled his first 4 years in the league to make jump shots. It takes a while. But Trey Johnson has a very clean-looking jumper. He's got a 6'11" wingspan. That's pretty damn good. And like I said, plus athleticism as well. His defensive impact, even though it didn't show in college, could be there. Wasn't the best defender in college. Wasn't always showing the best traits defensively, but at the same time, that's another thing that the NBA can try and work through, especially if he has the work ethic, which the one quote that I really liked about Trey Johnson was one from Rodney Terry, who coached both Kevin Durant and Trey Johnson at Texas. He said, quote, "I got a chance to coach Kevin Durant for 1 year at Texas and Johnson for 1 year at Texas. Him and Kevin have a lot of things in common that come from the same cloth in terms of work ethic. A guy that we literally push him out of the gym. You put the scoreboard on and he's competing at another level. You love to see that, a guy with a competitive edge as well. I'm super high on Trey Johnson. I think that there's a very high upside there. He could mess around and become the starting guard at some point, but even A.J. Johnson, who they added last year from Milwaukee, is another really good piece. I think he showed some flashes. He has plus athleticism as well. I didn't even mention that they have Chris Middleton on roster, who's also another veteran presence. I think this is a team that needs to build culture as well. You see how all these young teams kind of dig out of being horrible. It starts with building a winning culture. You saw that remember Phoenix in the bubble? You saw some signs of like they're developing kind of a culture thing going on. They bring in a veteran in Chris Paul and boom, they make the finals run. Not saying this is the same thing that's going to happen with the Wizards, but like you saw with the Rockets last year even. You know, you see Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, Tari Eason, all these guys. And then you bring in a Fred VanVleet to help steady them and be a veteran presence, a Steven Adams as well. I think veterans serve a purpose on a young team that needs help building culture. The Pistons last year, I could keep going. The Pistons last year bringing Toby Harris, who's been around. He's a vet. So it all depends on where you are in your stage of rebuilding, but the Wizards bringing in veterans is definitely something that I really like to see. I don't think this is a for sure playoff team, but there's building blocks there. And like I said, I just want to see them build culture, see some more winning. 18 wins is horrific. We can all acknowledge that. But if there's improvements in game from Bub Carrington, Alex Sarr, maybe even another Bilal Coulibaly step, because he was really good to start the year, but he cooled off big at the end. If you can get a full season of production and health from all those guys, I think you're talking maybe about a mid-30s win team. Maybe they crack and hit a 35, so I see some positives in there for sure. I like where the Wizards are going. If you enjoyed this video, you should consider liking and subscribing. I'm not asking for the world from you. Comment down below if you're a fan of any of these teams, or if you're just another guy who really likes Trey Johnson like I do. If you enjoyed, like I said, subscribe. Not a lot. I'm going to go catch the game. See you guys in the next one. Thanks for joining me.